We are here at Chapter 3 in Black Myth Wukong. That means it's time to take on a bunch of new enemies and, of course, new bosses. Luckily, we here at Direct Gaming have the perfect guide for you on how to take down the boss, Kang-Jin Loong. This is a bit of a weird one, and it's kind of tough, so let's prepare. This guide will be broken down into 3 parts. Personal setup and skills I had unlocked for the fight, tips on how to avoid the boss's attacks and how to counter them, and finally, a full run of the boss fight sped up a tad to show you how to use everything you have learned in real time. Okay, let's get started. Now, this is the first boss of Chapter 3, so not much has happened between finishing Chapter 2 boss and entering the mountains here. So in terms of skills and items I had during the fight, I simply attached the latest armor that you get after beating Chapter 2, upgraded my staff a little bit, which is always helpful, and applied any leftover sparks that I might have. If you feel like you need to level up, however, though, we have an early farm guide on the channel, go check that out. Also, make sure to grab things like evil repelling medicine and longevity, as those can help by reducing damage and giving you more health. A new one you want to be looking into, okay, not really new, but it's not really been needed until now, is shock quelling powder. This boss shocks you a lot, meaning that you'll actually take more damage per hit if you are shocked. Otherwise, what you see on screen is everything else that I am using for things like magic, staff stances, and foundation. Feel free to pause the video to copy things if you want to, but it's not required. With all of our prep done, it's finally time to take on this mystical dragon. Now, when it comes to the boss fight itself, Suisu is a weird battle up to this point. There are a bunch of different moves, and you will need to pay attention to how her whole body moves so you can react. Yes, this actually is a female dragon because it's actually called the Queen. So, there you go, I guess. Finally, I will be 1000% straight and honest with everyone here and admit that when you watch the full unedited fight at the end of the video, I got lucky with beating this boss. Just gonna say it up straight right now. I have plenty of tips and things that I discovered while watching back my B-roll and trying to fight this boss. I think it took me about 6 or 7 tries potentially. I'm lost count after a while, but I will admit when watching back and being like, how the heck did I beat this boss? Yeah, so there was definitely a little bit of luck here, but overall, we're still going to go through all the things you need to know for this boss because you should be able to do it a lot faster by knowing this stuff. So if you have any potential tips that you yourself discover, make sure to put those in the comments. Now, when you enter the lake where the fight takes place, high chance after dying for the first time, you need to run all the way over to where the boss is, or that's at least what I recommend so that you can start this fight off in your favor. The dragon here is going to simply move around in the middle of the air for a bit so you have time to get over to where it is, but it will eventually land on the ice. If you don't get in close, it will do one of 2 attacks that we'll discuss here in a second. So right away, run up to where the boss is at this particular point, and right as it's about to slam down onto the ice like you see here on screen, avoid the attack and get ready to activate the Wind Tamer vessel that we got back in Chapter 2. Again, if you need to check that out, go ahead and check out our full Boss 2 guide there on the channel. Use it and run over to the dragon to do some good damage. By using the Wind Tamer, you actually knock the boss onto the ground and it's stunned for a little bit, giving you a chance to get some extra damage in. If you do not run up to the boss and it lands on the ice, hang back and get ready because it's going to take to the sky just a little bit now and then it will charge you straight on. You need to dodge and get out of the way of this particular attack, otherwise you're going to get hit with this little animation and it hurts a lot. Now, throughout this boss battle, you'll notice that the dragon will be at 3 positions. 1 will be on the ground, whether it's being knocked over or simply on his feet. 2 will be kind of hovering around midair, where you can still kind of attack it potentially, but it's still kind of out of reach as well. And 3rd is going to be at its highest elevation, where you just simply cannot attack it, and you just got to let it be until it gets back down to the ground. Also, final note for that little animation that we just saw with the boss attacking us, keep a mental note that that was done on the left side of your particular camera when the dragon charges you. Keep that in mind for later. Now, assuming that you actually knock the dragon down to the ground just like I did in the original B-roll, after the dragon is back up in the air, it's time to go over some of its moves that you're going to have to learn to deal with. The dragon loves to breathe fire. Shocker, I know it's a dragon. So make sure you're either trying to stay close to it or try to be a little bit farther away, as I found that to be kind of the sweet spot in terms of dodging it. If I was kind of in the middle, it tended to hit me more times than not. It's pretty wide, so definitely get used to that. The most common move it will use, however, though, is when it starts in the air, it will circle around once and then dive down onto the ground, but it's only going to make an impact with one of its claws like you see here on screen. The boss will also try to combo these sometimes, so be ready for a double dodge. One of the toughest moves that I personally found to avoid, however, though, had to be this one. The dragon will slam one of his claws into the ice just like we talked about beforehand, but it does a upper slash movement like you're seeing right here. This is then quickly followed by a tail slam attack that does a lot of damage. However, though, after this happens, it sets you up for a nice counter yourself. So even if you get hit like I did here on screen, you can get some good hits on its body since the tail's gonna be laying there on the ice for a few seconds. Mrs. Dragon here also likes to strike you with lightning a lot, but I found it rarely happened within the first half of the fight for its health, so I wasn't able to get any particular B-roll at that particular moment, so what you're seeing here is at the later half. Again, pretty easy to dodge, just simply roll and you'll be good to go. As the fight continues on, the boss will continue to do sort of flyby attacks using its claws. What I found the easiest to do here is you can either try to time your dodges or only semi, mash the dodge button if you're having trouble getting away from these particular attacks. By the way, remember that cinematic charge attack the boss can do that can result in some serious damage? Well, that is when the dragon decides to attack you from the left. However, if it decides to dash at you from the right side of the screen like you see here, then even if it hits you, it actually doesn't result in the huge cinematic attack that we saw beforehand that can potentially kill you. Side note, you can try to use your stone magic, but only if that normal attack is coming from the right side, not the left. I tried tons of times trying to use that magic to see if I could parry the attack, and I simply could not. So keep in mind, if the dragon comes from the left side, you need to dodge at the last second. Yes, it is very fast. If the dragon's coming from the right side, then you can either use your stone magic or simply try to dodge or get hit. It won't be too bad. Fun little thing to note with this particular boss is that it can actually get knocked to the ground if you get enough hits on it. Like on screen here, I was able to immobilize the boss, get an actual full combo on it, plus broke the immobilization, which seemed to knock the dragon out of the air. So if you get a chance to use Immobilize, it's great. However, you need to be very precise with your timing, otherwise it's going to be hanging there in midair, and it's not going to help you out that much. For the first half of the fight in the boss's health, this should be every move that the boss is going to throw your way. The best way to attack it that I personally found is by using the Wind Tamer at the very beginning to knock the boss down. After that, if you get a chance to immobilize it, that can land another full set of combos and hopefully knocking the boss to the ground as well. The final tip I can give though is to wait until the boss is right in your face and then try to get parts of a combo going. Even if the boss starts to move, keep the attack going because it will more than likely swing back around and come back at you. And if you're lucky enough, you might be able to land that final hit in the combo to hit the boss to semi-staggered or potentially knock it down to the ground. I know this is not the best tip, but I found it working for me quite often. Also, one of my many side notes as I have to mention here in the video, throughout the unedited section of the video, you will see me use the transformation Azure Dust, the walking rock as I like to call it, where I actually mess up and knock the dragon down. But then it goes into its half-life crazy move set. So if you bring it like I did, try to use it in the second half when the dragon is using more moves that you might not be able to deal with. Okay. Finally, when you get the boss down to 50% of its health, it's going to fly really high up into the sky like I mentioned way back at the beginning of the 3 positions that the dragon has. You can't attack it in this particular moment, so just get ready to dodge. First, the boss is going to start off with a huge fire breath attack, followed by a large amount of lightning strikes that will hit the entire area around you. So in order to avoid this, simply run around and dodge when needed until the dragon finally comes back down. After the boss comes back towards the ice, or at least hovering above it, the second half of the battle can begin. Most of the attacks that we talked about at the beginning are going to be the same here, except the boss is going to try to mix them up. So you definitely have to stay on your toes a lot more. To help yourself deal with this, use the pillar stance to get above the ice and then dodge some of the attacks, and also be able to whack the dragon when it's getting close to you. It works best if you have charges built up, but if you are feeling a little risky, you can actually hold the triangle button to extend the pole to get up to 3 focus points, and then hit the dragon with a good old smack as it's coming close to you. However, that's a little bit more risky, so take your chances if you can. Heck, even 1 focus point can stagger the boss just a little bit. Otherwise, that is everything that I can possibly think of in terms of how to avoid moves, what skills to use like pillar stance, freeze it when you can, and honestly just practicing when it comes to this boss. Like I said, it took me around 6 to 7 tries to beat this thing, and I still don't know how I really beat it. A little bit of luck definitely fell in my favor. Use the transformations when you possibly can though. If the battle lasts long enough, you can use that Wind Tamer a second time to knock it down to make it even easier on yourself. Now, here's a full run of the boss fight sped up a tad to show you how to take Kang-Jin Loong down. I probably butchered that name there, but I'm a little tired right now. As always, learn the attacks and patterns of the boss to make it easier on yourself. It's okay if it takes a few tries. If you enjoyed the guides and like on the video, shows us that you enjoy this type of content. And don't forget to check out our other Black Myth Wukong guides and content along with our other types of videos in the top right corner in pinned comments. Thanks for watching the video. I've been Talon with Direct Gaming. I hope you have a great day and week, and I can't wait to see you all in the next video or live stream. Until next time, everyone, Johnny.